please like or dislike the video or leave a comment below. That will allow me to produce better videos and more of them in the future. So this week I am going to have the best trade of the football season for myself, and it's going to occur on the last day of the season, and you can see I'm using the future tense because the trade hasn't completed yet. I am slowly exiting my position as we speak, but in the next 12 hours I will finally be out of my position. So if you want to totally shaft me, you know what to do. But it was an interesting trade because it's all based around fixture congestion, and if you look at the way that teams have certain priorities and the schedule begins to create a problem, it's inevitable that the more matches you play, the more injuries you will get. So teams tend to rotate and move players in and out and so on and so forth. And if we look at Manchester United this year, they got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, the final of the EFL Cup, the Europa League final, and they have been trying to chase down unsuccessfully a top 4 place. So that's created a huge pile-up of fixtures that they really could have done without. And as you'll know, to all of the injuries that they've had, to Ibrahimovic and other players, that has created problems. I think that Mourinho has overplayed some of the key players. And generally you don't do that. If you've got an important fixture coming up, you will rest your key players because it's just too risky to keep putting them out, because they will get injured. The more you play a player, they will get injured. So when you look at the fixture congestion that Manchester United have, there was a really important potential piece of fixture congestion that was going to occur in the middle of next week, which is the Europa League final. So on May the 4th, I flagged this up as an opportunity when I tweeted and pointed out that Manchester United were going to play Crystal Palace on the last day of the season. And the last day of the Premier League season is on a Sunday. It's always been on a Sunday, and of course Manchester United now have to play midweek next week, so they've got a very small window between the 2 games. And I highlighted this back on May the 4th. And the anticipation was that if they did reach the Europa League final, then necessarily that match was going to look radically different. It wasn't going to be a typical Manchester United versus Crystal Palace type match. Mourinho and the board at Manchester United would have to decide exactly what they were going to do, and it's almost inevitable they were going to put out a much, much weaker team. So I went off and looked into all of my databases, worked out what a normal match would look like, work out all of the variations that could occur, and came up with a sort of an idea of what I thought would be a sensible price for it, and then waited for the markets to open. I had a look at some of the other bookmaker prices, and they were much shorter than I anticipated, because you can't lay there. You can only back, which is probably why they were so short anyhow. But when the market went up on Betfair, it was only 149 for Man United to win against Palace on the last day of the season, with the Europa League final just around the corner. So yeah, that was just way too short. I'd anticipated that maybe something under 2 would be lay value, and probably just over 2 maybe lay value as well, but that was down to what sort of team that they could play in, and we don't know at the moment what team is going to be playing on Sunday. And I won't be there to trade it on Sunday because I'm going to be at St Mary's watching the last match of the season at Southampton. And as all football fans will know, the last day of the season is just a good excuse to have a few beers, catch up with a few friends, and just have a good laugh. It's a bit of a party really, and the result generally doesn't matter. And if you look at the outcome, there are a couple of undecided issues within the Premier League, but generally most matches this Sunday will be, and the same with Man United and Palace, there's no incentive particularly to do anything particularly amazing. So, the big incentive for Manchester United is to win the Europa League. They will qualify for the Champions League. And, what would you do? Would you get 3 points against Palace, or would you win the Europa League, or give yourself the best chance of winning the Europa League? So that's what they're going to opt for. Now, there's been a few hints as to the sort of team that could be playing, but we will only know an hour before the match kicks off on Sunday. And by then I'll probably be half drunk in a bar somewhere in Southampton, and or heading to the ground. So I'm not going to have the opportunity to exploit that. You will if you watch that situation closely, but my position will be gone by then. I will be out of it because I don't trust myself fiddling around with the iPhone when I've had a few beers. So I'm going to close my position out long before then. But it'd be interesting to see what team actually comes out and what impact that has on the odds, because obviously at 149 that price was way too short if they put out a third string against Crystal Palace. And I was happy to lay and offer money up to lay all the way up as that started to rise and rise. But it's plateaued now at around 280, 290, which I think may actually represent value depending upon the team that they put out. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it could be a team like we've never seen before and the price will go off. It's happened before, it's going to happen again. But yeah, it's been a great trade. It's one you could predict a long time in advance. And if you were willing to commit money to the market, then it's been, a spectacular result, really. But the final twist is going to come on Sunday, an hour before kickoff, when the final team sheet is announced, and there may be another opportunity there depending upon whether you think the team's weaker or stronger than you anticipated. So there may be an opportunity there. Probably the biggest part of the opportunity is missed because 149 was obviously lay value, but yeah, it's going to turn out to be my biggest trade of the year on football. And these things do occur. I'm sure they'll occur again in the future, but there's a nice little way for you to profit in the future when you see fixture congestion and you see differing priorities and various other things that are going to force a situation like this. There's a great opportunity to profit from it.